Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Irene Lidvall, and today we're going somewhere. I don't know where we're going to end up, but I think it's pretty deep. But don't worry, we will get to the end of it, and hopefully it will clarify quite a lot of things for you. Because if you have ever caught yourself thinking, why do I repeat the same patterns? Why? Why do I end up where I don't want to be? And why does a lot of things that I do feel very familiar again and again, even though I don't want it? So if I'm so smart, if I'm so capable, why do I keep stuck in this bloody loop of repeating my same old pattern? Well, if this is something that gels with you, then this episode is for you. Because today I want to talk to you about why you keep repeating the same patterns and the most common hidden blockages that quietly holds powerful women like yourself back, and the real secret to effortless transformation, and the formula to reinvent yourself without burning your life down, and how to become an extraordinary magnetic woman who designs your life intentionally. So, if this sounds like something you want to know about, take a deep breath, maybe hit pause here and go and get yourself a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and lower your shoulders and relax. And let me begin. So, let me ask you something that might surprise you. You are not repeating patterns because you are stupid. No, 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 no. You are repeating them because your brain is brilliant. Yes, brilliant. Your brain's number one job is to keep yourself safe and keep you in a familiar territory. Even if that familiarity comes with stress, disappointment, overgiving, self-doubt, or exhaustions, your self-conscious and subconscious does not ask for permission if it's good for you. It will ask, I know this. This feels familiar. And if that's the answer, you will repeat your pattern. So let me give you some examples. If you grew up being the responsible one, like the firstborn, you will attract situations where you carry that emotional load again and again and again because it feels familiar. But if you learn that love equals effort, hey, that's a bad one, isn't it? You will feel oddly uncomfortable when things are easy. So, what do? People please. People please. Stop it. And this one is really a biggie because if your worth was tied to achievement, then you will feel so uncomfortable resting or sitting down watching TV or doing nothing because that is unsafe. Unsafe to do nothing. No, 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 no. Being busy feels good, right? I know a lot of people who love to be busy, even though they don't achieve anything, but they stay safe in that environment by being busy. Being busy. This is not a mindset issue. It's actually a conditioning. You have, or someone has, conditioned your mind to behave in those manners. And here's the real kicker. Even if you know better, you still repeat the pattern because insight alone does not rewire identity because you think this is who you are. So let's talk about what's actually holding you back. And the biggest hurdle is loyalty to your old identity. You don't stay stuck because you can't change. You stay stuck because part of you really and honestly believes this is who I am. And if I change, who am I then? Your old identity may be exhausted, but hey, it's loyal, it's predictable, it's safe, it's like a pair of old shoes. You might be the overgiver, the strong one, the peacemaker, the high achiever. And that feels really familiar and safe. Transformation requires grieving who you have been. And most women skip that part. I know that when I were made redundant, I was the vice president for a pretty large corporation in Europe, and I was having a long distance relationship with a Wall Street guy in New York. And when I lost my job, he asked me to come and live with him in New York, and I thought to myself, oh, that could be fun, not knowing that I really didn't know who I was. And when I ended up in New York without a job, without being able to achieve anything really, accomplish something that I was used to do in my job, because I had become my job. And so many of us equal what we are achieving. And that's not really who you are. So I started resenting him first, then I resented myself, and then I started hating my life. In my penthouse, not mine, but in his penthouse in Manhattan, and with a house in the Hamptons and staff doing everything for me. And I could just pick one of the branded cars in the garage and drive around. No, I hated it. I really hated it. But you know what I really did resent was me, because I didn't know who I was. I had no identity. And most women, they skip that part of grieving who they have been. It took me quite a while to find out who I really was. It was not until I created a new identity. I had to, because who the hell was I? I was somebody's girlfriend. That was all. And when people asked me, "Oh, Irene, what do you do?" I pointed at him and said, "I do him." I know, but it's not a good place to be. And it took a lot of soul searching and dive really deep to figure out who you are when you are free falling. But it was one of the hardest things I have ever done, but it was one of the best things I've done for myself. So that leads me to blockage number 2. It's confusing intensity with alignment. Just because something feels strong doesn't mean it's right. And chemistry is not compatibility. And urgency is not intuition. Anxiety is not excitement. And many women mistake nervous system activation for passion, which is ludicrous. And they keep on choosing the same dynamic. Different face, same feeling. Different relationship, same feeling. Your body and your mind is not addicted to chaos. It is just trained to recognize it. So we go where it feels familiar, right? So that's the first step you need to do, to recognize it. When you see it, run the other way, okay? And another thing that can hold you back is waiting for confidence before you take action. And this is a really sneaky behavior, because you tell yourself, I do it when I feel ready. I do it when I am more clear about what it is that I want. I do it when I have more confidence. And maybe I need more tools in my belt. Maybe I need some more credentials. Who do I think I am? thinking that I can do this. Oh, no, I better go back and take another course and hide behind the computer. But honey, confidence does not precede action. It follows it. Waiting for confidence is like waiting for muscle tone before going to the gym. And how likely is that to happen? No. Confidence is a side effect of self-trust. And self-trust is built through evidence. And you get the evidence by taking action. You know, if you don't take action, you won't have any evidence of being able to do what it is that you want to do. And then we dig a little hole and we go even further down and wait until everything has passed you by. And we don't want that. So go and get that evidence and do it before you actually feel confident enough to do it. Just start one step at a time and you will figure it out. So you cannot heal in the same conditions that trained your brain to survive. And why I'm saying that is that if you are in a relationship and it's not good for you, you cannot stay in that relationship and heal, because you will have the same conversations, the same standards, and the same self-betrayals. Now, that was just an example of a relationship. It could be a job, it could be situation, it could be environmental. But you know what? Growth requires structural change, not just emotional insight. At some point, self-awareness must become self-respect. And where does that start? It starts with you. And that leads into having fear of your own power. Because once you realize and have self-respect for yourself, you will then blossom, you will change who you were, and you will become the person that you were always destined to be. And this is one, a really big one, because if you fully stepped into who you are, you would disrupt dynamics. You will light up a room when you enter it, and you will outshine expectations, even your own. And somewhere along the way, you have learned that being too much was dangerous. So this is where you then dimmed your light. You delayed any expectations or starting something. You would second guess yourself because who am I to do this and who do I think I am, right? But you did that not because you couldn't, but because you were afraid of what happens when you do. So here it is, the secret to effortless transformation. Effortless transformation does not come from pushing harder. No. It comes from identity collapse. That sounds hurtful, doesn't it? And yes, honey, it is pretty darn traumatic sometimes, but it's so rewarding. Transformation happens when the old identity no longer feels safe to return to. Not because you hated it, but because you have outgrown it, stagnant, stuck. So real change happens when your standards rise, your self-betrayal tolerance drops, and your nervous system learns safety in expansion. This is why white-knuckling habits rarely works. And you know that, it's like an alcoholic trying to white-knuckle not to drink, or somebody who overeats and goes to a restaurant with a full menu and not eating. That's white-knuckling. It doesn't work. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You actually fall to the level of your identity. So if you change your identity, your behavior follows naturally. So let me give you a simple formula to interrupt the pattern. Because when you catch yourself mid-reaction, pause before you over-explain. Pause before you rescue. Before you say yes when your body says no. And no is, as you know, a full sentence. And pause is power. So I want you to choose from the future. Ask yourself, what would the woman I am becoming choose here? Not the healed version, not the perfect version, but the next level version. Then act accordingly. Even if you're shit scared. Repetition creates reality. Reinvention isn't one bold move. It is a series of small, unfamiliar decisions that re-educate your brain and your subconscious mind. New choices feel wrong before they feel right. Like I said earlier, make the unfamiliar familiar and the familiar unfamiliar. That's how you know you're doing it correctly. So, becoming a magnetic woman who designs her life, magnetism is not about trying to be desirable, even if all of us wants to be desirable. But this is not what I'm talking about when I'm saying magnetism. It's about being self-anchored. Because a magnetic woman, she does not chase, she chooses. She does not perform, she embodies. And she does not beg for clarity, she creates it. And she does not wait to be picked, like in a sports team when we were in high school. No, she decides what she wants to pick. She lives intentionally, not reactively. She totally understands that her energy teaches people how to treat her, and she no longer negotiates with her intuition. So let me leave you with this. You are not stuck. You are simply standing at the edge of an identity upgrade. And the discomfort you feel, that is not failure. That's expansion asking you to step forward. You don't need to become someone new. What you need is to remember who you were before you learned to shrink. And when you do, I promise you, everything will change. And with that, I say, stay unstuck and stay absolutely unapologetically fabulous. Until then, have a great week.